Hello everybody, and welcome to Great Bear Island, an island located in the northern Canadian wilderness, packed full of beautiful scenery, forests, and perfect camping destinations. Or rather, it used to be, because as we find Great Bear Island now, it is desolate. Houses are abandoned, farmland is frosted over. The population of the island as a whole has been reduced to next to nothing. The only thing you'll find for kilometers are hungry wolves, wandering bears, and territorial cougars. And I have to survive here for 100 days on one life. You would think that wouldn't be a big issue, just find a house, hold up, hang out a bit. Unfortunately for me, all the electricity on this island has been wiped out by a geomagnetic storm in the form of an aurora, which means no one is coming to save me. Now, The Long Dark is one of my favorite all-time games. I absolutely adore this game. This game was a massive part of my childhood. And if you're a veteran viewer of this channel, you may remember a year or two ago, maybe 3 by now, I uploaded a 100 days in Interloper before. However, I decided I wanted to try again. I've come a long way, the channel's come a long way, and I feel like it'll be a lot more interesting with how, adept I am at creating content compared to when I started. Now, for those of you that are new to this game, let me give you a brief rundown. I'm going to be playing on Interloper Difficulty, which as of recently is now the second hardest difficulty in the game, whereas it used to be the first. Below Interloper Difficulty, you can find things like knives, hatchets, revolvers, and rifles, and you can even find bows and stuff like that hanging around. But on Interloper Difficulty, none of that spawns in. Loot is incredibly scarce, food even more so. And to make it even worse, on Interloper, you start with next to nothing other than the clothes on your back. So not only do you have to worry about the wildlife trying to kill you right away, you have to worry about hypothermia and frostbite. Now, all of this was recorded while I was live streaming over on Twitch. Well, for the most part. So if you want to go check out the Twitch link, it'll be in the description below and you can, go follow me over there too. But today I am here to pose the question, can I survive 100 days on Interloper Difficulty in the Long Dark? Let's find out. And just like any good start for a 100 days run, we start in the World Creation menu. For my active feats, I decided to go with Freerunner and Efficient Machine, so I would have even less calorie consumption throughout the 100 days. And then of course we had to have the cougar and scurvy, it wouldn't be Interloper without it. And then it was in to day 1, and it spawned me in Ash Canyon.
God fucking damn it, bro.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy with that. By this point, I had been through 19 separate saves, so as you could imagine, me spawning in Ash Canyon was not a very good start. Luckily for me, I spawned really close to the, little hut that's in the middle of Ash Canyon, which on the inside I found matches, which is a big thing in Interloper, especially considering you don't spawn with any. But on my way to Timberwolf Mountain, I had my first encounter of the run with a wolf. But
Could you not?
could you f off?
Okie dokie, that.
Eventually, I found my way through Ash Canyon to Timberwolf Mountain, and then I found myself all the way from the exit of Ash Canyon to the ice fishing hut where we found the heavy hammer, which was one of the 2 tools I needed in order to forge a hatchet, a knife, and arrowheads. So we could scratch that off the to-do list. I had even ended up finding a worn ski jacket, which is one of the best clothing items you can find on Interloper Difficulty. After that, I just kind of spent the night in the house that we found the ski jacket in and boiled water for the rest of the night. And then day 2 started with a blizzard, so I just had to kind of try not to die from freezing. Then when the blizzard finally subsided, I was on my way to Pleasant Valley, but I was too heavy to climb down the rope, so I decided to cheese my way down, and ended up nearly crippling myself in the process. Afterward, I searched the abandoned prepper cache at the bottom of the climb. Of course, I didn't find anything. I never find anything in that bunker. And then I slept. Day 3 started with me legging it to the crash site. Crash site is one of the best locations to loot in Pleasant Valley because you can find, even in Interloper, some of the best clothing there. You just gotta be okay with stripping it off of dead bodies and searching through people's luggage. People who had families and children and pets. Not my problem. Idiots shouldn't have got caught in a plane crash. Unfortunately, they didn't pack anything good with them. But I did end up finding a dead deer, which I lit a fire next to so I could harvest its hide and its guts, which would be very useful later. And then it was the long, cold walk down to the farmhouse. However, by now I was both starving and freezing, and my condition had dropped almost to half, so I had to be quick. And I made it to the farmhouse relatively unopposed. Found some vegetables, some cooking essentials and food, scooped up some of the long dark delicacy that is toilet water, actually found a ski jacket, though it was in pretty rough condition, so I would have to fix it. And then I spent the rest of the day optimizing and repairing my clothing, and went to bed.
Okay, we're just gonna vibe for a second.
Nothing like greeting your neighbors on the early morning of day 4. After that brief jump scare, I was on my way up to a radio tower in hopes of finding a hacksaw. Ended up giving a bird brain damage with a rock, and then I cured said brain damage by snapping its tiny frail neck like a twig. Its skin belongs to me now. The radio tower had a few goodies, including matches, and a second heavy hammer. I swear, I can never find these things when I'm playing Interloper, but when I do find them, they're all I find. And we gutted another dead deer. And we got a sick-ass view off the top of the mountain the radio tower was on. And then on the night of day 4, we had our first aurora. These things are pretty cool. They reveal secrets and lore and stuff like that, but this isn't a lore video, so I'm not going to get into that. And then on the morning of day 5, I started by climbing down the cliff right next to the radio tower as a little shortcut. On the way back to the farmhouse, I found a dead deer, which I proceeded to rip open with my bare hands. And then I did the exact same thing to a dead ptarmigan once I got into the farmhouse. Then I cooked a little bit of food and went to bed. I pretty much just spent the entirety of day 6 outside fixing clothing, and after packing up all my belongings on the dawn of day 7, it was time to finally lug everything across the region. Stopping at the barn, of course, in hopes of finding a hacksaw. I didn't, so I continued on my way to Thompson's Crossing. I managed to sneak past all the wolves and got to town safely. Briefly stopped in at the church to find books to burn. It sure is a good thing that burning someone's religious artifacts doesn't upset them at all. And then it was to the town hall where I would be spending the immediate future, at the least. Be a sort of base camp for the region, where I can organize all my food, all my hides, all my tools, that kind of thing. And then of course I had to loot the gas station across the road. There's a guaranteed match spawn in there usually. Matches, yep. Matches are guaranteed here. And then I spent the majority of the rest of the day organizing all my stuff. For the start of day 8, I decided to just kind of start searching around the basic houses that were around the area. Mostly to just kind of stock up on as much food and water as I can. In Interloper, you've really got to worry about vitamin C, especially once in the later stages of the game. Then after that, I decided to go rabbit hunting. I was going to need a lot of rabbit skins in order to make the rabbit skin mitts and the rabbit skin hat, 2 of the only clothing items you can craft in Interloper. And if I wanted to survive on Interloper long term, I was going to need them. And by the time I got home, I actually managed to catch 3 of them. So I decided to gut them for the meat. And then I decided it was finally time to put the big stove in the community hall to advantage by boiling a whole lot of water. Day 9 started with a healthy breakfast of cooked rabbit and canned peaches. And then I read one of the many research books in the game. You can find different books that'll enhance or help you learn different skills in the game to progress faster. This one just so happened to be Wilderness Kitchen, because if I can get to level 5 cooking, I can eat anything, or damn near anything at least, and not get food poisoning or parasites. And then I was out hunting. Specifically, I was hunting ptarmigan because I can use their down to make a bedroll that insulates me better than a normal one. And then of course I found mushrooms in the wilderness. You gotta have your priorities in a harsh, frozen wasteland. And then I found a magnifying lens, which is the biggest find I could have possibly gotten this early in the game. You see, eventually matches will die out. You'll run out of matches entirely. You can find a fire striker in game, which is kind of like a flint and steel, which does last a little while. But a magnifying lens is the best thing you can find in the game for long-term survival. You can use it as many times as you want, so long as there's sun out, and it will not lose condition. And to add on top of that, I was able to get a few more rabbits and even found another dead deer to harvest the hide from. Things were actually starting to look very promising at this point. And lucky me, I was able to make it home with no issues whatsoever. And then by day 10, I decided it was time I finally start prepping for the eventuality of getting cabin fever. And to do so, I ended up building a snow shelter outside with 15 sticks and I think 5 cloth. Now, cabin fever absolutely blows, for one specific reason. It's cold outside. And cabin fever, you cannot get rid of it unless you spend time outside. If you have cabin fever risk, you can avoid it by staying outside for a little bit, which will help obviously. But if you have full-blown cabin fever, you need to spend 24 hours outside, straight. You cannot do anything inside at all. So it's better to avoid getting it than to try and cure it, especially on Interloper. So that's pretty much all I did for day 10, was stay in my snow shelter. Riveting, I know. I started day 11 by crafting some improvised insulation to give me that little extra bit of warmth, because on Interloper, it get cold. It get cold. Especially in the late game. And then I decided it would probably be a good idea if I went out to harvest some medicinal plants, especially considering I don't have a lot of antiseptic or anything. Then later around sunset, I decided it was time for me to finally cook a proper meal. So I started by cooking up some of the ptarmigan meat I had from, killing the birds previously, into some broth, which I then used to make some ptarmigan stew, which would fill me up nicely, increase my cooking skill, and actually provide a better rest bonus for me. I spent the majority of day 12 in the snow shelter again to avoid cabin fever. This is going to be a pretty common thread. But then on the dawn of day 13, this happened.
Oh my. It would be great if I could hear the event cutscene That sure would be cool.
That is the cougar, the newest, supposedly most dangerous predator in the game. Upon showing up, the cougar will choose a territory in the region and it will continue to patrol that territory. So generally, if you don't go in that territory, you're more or less fine. However, the region it took in Pleasant Valley just so happens to be the closest form of fishing you can get in the region, which meant my only source of long-term vitamin C in the region was cut off. And I still had cabin fever risk, so once I went back inside and warmed up, it was back into the snow shelter. However, the day after, I did decide to go out and get some more rabbits because, well, I needed more food, and more rabbit skin was always generally a good idea to collect when you could. Then lucky me, day 15 was the day I got to go back to the barn and start making some proper clothing. The first thing I decided to craft was the rabbit skin mitts, which took a total of 5 hours in game to make, and then the deerskin pants, which was going to take a total of 12.5 hours to craft, split up in between 2 different days. So by the time the dusk of day 16 rolled around, I had rabbit skin mitts and deerskin pants, which both would add around 2 degrees of insulation and I think around 2 degrees of wind protection as well. Day 17 started with the walk back to the town hall after crafting everything, and then I spent more time in the snow shelter, because in the next 2 days I wanted to move from Pleasant Valley to Coastal Highway, and I wanted to make sure I didn't have any risk of cabin fever for when I got there. And then day 18 was the long walk from Thompson's Crossing to the mine that would take us from Pleasant Valley to Coastal Highway. In the long dark, the only real way to travel through region to region is, most of the time, through these mines, or caves. Generally speaking, they're safe. There's no wolves, there's no bears, there's no wildlife, but they do require light to make it through them, be that a torch like I'm using here, or a lantern. In these caves, you can find some of the best loot in the game, like hacksaws, heavy hammers, pry bars. You can find quality tools, all sorts of stuff you need to repair late game items. And to add on top of that, they're usually pretty well insulated too. And once I was able to crawl out of the mine into Coastal Highway, I began making my way to the very first stop I wanted to in the region, the abandoned forestry lookout, where I was actually able to harvest a little bit of acorns, which I could potentially make into pancakes. Below Interloper Difficulty, you can actually find revolvers and rifles in these, lookout towers. This time around, though, I was actually looking for a hacksaw, which I was able to find, which meant I was finally able to go find a forge and make myself some tools and some arrowheads. But I had a few other things I needed to do before then, so I just spent the night in the tower. And then day 19 started with the long walk from the tower all the way down to the coastal town site, where inside the garage, the first thing I found was a storm lantern, which meant so long as I had fuel for it, I didn't have to waste matches starting, a torch to loot a building. The garage was also going to be my main hub for the region, where I would organize and store everything. But I didn't really waste any time doing that right now. Instead, I beelined it straight toward Desolation Point, where I would be able to forge some tools, going through a mine to get there. And then once I got to Desolation Point, I went through a mine that was within the region itself, both because it was a shortcut and it had coal, which I needed to do some forging. And then I made it to Hibernia Whale Processing, one of the big workshop areas for the region, where I found a safe that after I unlocked it, it had a can of gunpowder in it that I could use as accelerant, and a can of soda, because everyone locks a random can of pop in their valuables safe, of course. Soda and gunpowder, they're the two universal factors that just always go together. And then the next day I made it to the Riken, where I could use, I'm assuming, the engine used to power the ship to do some forging. So I broke down some boxes and some shelves for the metal scrap, and I spent the night forging everything I needed. Hatchets, knives, and arrowheads. And then on day 22, on my way out of the region, I made a quick stop at the lighthouse and found the recipe for coastal fish cakes, which if I cooked them, I believe it would actually lower my cabin fever risk. And then I was back on my way to Coastal Highway, back through the mine, through the crumbling highway, and back home. And once I was back home, I took some time to organize everything finally, cooked myself some food, looted one of the houses next to the garage before I went to bed in a snow shelter right outside the garage. And then for day 23, while I was out exploring, I did find a little plane crash outside that I'd never found before. Didn't really have anything useful in it, but it was pretty cool. I'm assuming it has something to do with the Tales from the Far Territory DLC. That's my best guess. Day 24, I decided to go looking around a little bit more, searched a little trailer I found, and harvested some acorns nearby. Any source of food is welcome at this point. And then I spent another night in my snow shelter. Day 25 actually started with me looting some of the houses by the garage, mostly just trying to find things that would give me short-term vitamin C. Then I made myself over to where the quote-unquote beach of Coastal Highway is, pretty much just a frozen mass of water. But from there I went up to the Misanthrope's homestead, and of course I had to loot that too. I mean, come on, food. mainly, is what I need. Afterwards, I started my way down toward the next island and coastal highway and actually did some beachcombing along the way. In the long dark, the beaches of the game that have like coastal regions will randomly spawn loot, and this loot can range from anything from a box of matches to a dead fish. In this case, I was looking for fish and I did manage to find some, so that would help tide my vitamin C problems over for a little while at least. I searched the house atop Jackrabbit Island for more food, spent some time gutting some rabbits that I had caught along the way. Then before nightfall, I decided to light a little fire just to cook up what meat I had on me, almost dying in the cold while I tried to get wood to fuel the fire. And then I slept inside the cabin on the island. Day 26 started with more beachcombing while I made my way down the frozen coast. Had a brief encounter with a wolf. I searched the fishing cabins at the docks, cooked some more meat and went to bed. Day 27 started with me searching the nearby mine, though I didn't really find anything. Kinda to be expected with Interloper Difficulty, but I was able to harvest a dead deer that I found at the log sort, so that's another hide for me. Then I just kinda hang out inside the trailer at the log sort and went to bed. The next day was the continuation of the long hike back home with a full inventory, but much to my surprise, I got back to the garage pretty much unscathed. Once I did, I finally spent some time properly organizing all my stuff, and then before bed I got started on making some arrow shafts. A while back I'd found a maple sapling on the beach and it was finally almost cured to the point where I could make a bow. Slept in my snow shelter again, and then the dawn of day 29 I finished up the arrows. Now I was pretty much just waiting for that maple sapling to dry out so I could make a bow with it. And by the night of day 29, it was finally ready for me to craft into a bow. But I ran out of light so I had to finish it the next morning. But with the survival bow finally crafted, it was time to go hunting. Ooh, okay, yeah. Come on, come here. And just like that, my position in the food chain had immediately shifted. I was able to kill and harvest 3 separate wolves in one day that had gathered all around the garage, which meant I was only 1 pelt away from being able to make a wolfskin coat once all the pelts were cured. And the wolfskin coat is one of the best clothing items in-game, especially on Interloper. So I started off the dawn of day 31 with a clean shot to the head of a wolf, and of course I took down 2 more. I only needed 2 more wolf pelts. Asshole. So the next day I went and harvested their corpses. I tried to kill another wolf, but it got spooked and I only ended up clipping it as it ran away. I did manage to kill a second one, however. So I went back to my snow shelter and harvested the quarters from them. By now I had so much wolf meat and no, well, fuel to cook it with. So I started off the next day by harvesting a bunch of tables and pallets. I started day 34 by repairing a bunch of my clothing that had been torn up over time. Though I did get jump scared by a wolf outside the garage. I'm dumb. Dumbass. Idiot. Stupid dog. Day 35, I spent pretty much the entire day boiling water, though I did cook a little bit of bannock as well. Then day 36 was the day I decided to finally do some fishing. Now for me, in this game, fishing is usually like a day or 2 day long process, so I kinda just hunkered down in a fishing hut and fished. Then the dawn of day 37, I had to lug all that fish back to the garage. 3 salmon, but those salmon all contain moderate. No, don't you fucking numpty. I did not mean to do that. Well, at least we got some vitamin C in us. What you just saw was me accidentally giving myself food poisoning because I double-clicked a salmon. So I just kind of had to sleep the rest of the daylight away for day 38. So for the night of day 38, I was pretty much up all night. So I spent all night cooking and pretty much the entirety of day 39 cooking as well. And day 40 was the day I was able to finally start making my first wolfskin coat. Though I did take a little bit of a break doing so and almost got myself killed in the middle of the night from the cold, breaking down some pallets. So I spent the next 2 days recovering my health and finishing up the wolfskin coat. And by then, all my other wolfskins had cured, so I figured why not start the second one? I was still recovering my health anyway. Spent day 44 doing the same thing. But I did take a little break from crafting to go hunting, and I was able to bag my first deer. Like a full deer, not just a carcass I found on the ground. And while I was cooking it, I had an unwanted visitor. Oh, hey, there is. That's close. And the next day, I actually found the bear dead on the lake. It had bled out. So I quartered it to haul it back home over many trips, while dealing with wildlife at the same time. But once I got it home, I spent the rest of the night in my snow shelter, quartering it up. Then over the next 2 days, I was able to finish up the second wolfskin coat. So I comfortably spent my night in the snow shelter. Day 48 started with me ripping apart some stranger's house for wood and cloth, and ended with me harvesting the wolves I had killed while hauling the bear meat back. Day 49 I tried my hand at some more beach combing, though I wasn't very successful, so I just went back home and pretty much spent the rest of my day cooking. And then finally, we're at day 50, the halfway mark. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you all for watching, if you're still watching at this point in the video, and if you are, how about giving a like, a comment, maybe subscribing if you enjoy the content, because there are going to be more 100 days videos like this one, just on a bunch of different games. By the time of this upload, we are so close to getting to 2,000 subscribers. I think we're like 300 subscribers away. And any support you can throw my way really does mean the world to me. Alright, anyway, back to me sitting in a room talking to myself. Day 50 was pretty much just me researching and cooking, really. On that grind to get level 5 cooking, which I did more of on day 51. Then day 52, I was out deer hunting. I still couldn't eat bear meat without risking parasites, so I wanted to get that handled. So when I got home, I ended up cooking the meat. Day 53, I was looking for some more animals to hunt, but I couldn't find any. It was getting to around late game Interloper, so there were less animals starting to spawn in. So day 54, I was back to beach combing. I did end up crashing in the Misanthrope's homestead though. And the next day was even more beach combing and just cooking fish I found, because honestly, I was just waiting for the bearskin to cure, right? So I was just passing time. I wanted to make a bearskin bedroll before leaving the region. And then day 56 rolled around, and that's when I really started to get a plan as to what I wanted to do. I did want the bearskin bedroll before I left. That wasn't changing. But I figured before the 100 days was over, I wanted to go back to Pleasant Valley, and I wanted to kill the cougar. That would sort of be like the test of the 100 days, the ultimate challenge. If I could make it that far to the point where only a cougar could kill me, then I feel like there would be no better way for me to go out during this challenge. So on day 57, I set out to look for maple saplings across Coastal Highway. The only maple saplings I had found so far were found on the beach, and I had already used them to make 2 bows. And I needed maple saplings in order to make a travois. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like a sled that I could essentially pull around to haul stuff with me, which would make me going back to Pleasant Valley a little bit easier. So that's what I did for the majority of day 57. With no luck, of course, so I ended up spending the night in the forestry lookout. Day 58 was more of the same, wandering around, exploring, looking for maple saplings that clearly didn't exist at this point. I ended up sleeping in a cabin I found, so I picked up the search back on day 59, until I finally found one. That was 1 out of the total 4 that I needed in order to craft the travois. Lucky for me, I did end up finding 2 more before I began to make my way back home, staying yet another night in another trailer. Or rather, I would have, but my dumbass forgot to bring a can with me in order to boil water on the go. So I had to walk back to the garage at night in the middle of Coastal Highway on Interloper Difficulty. I must have had some incredible streamer luck or something, because I didn't encounter a single wolf on the way home. And because I'd ended up sleeping a little bit before I went home, I had to stay up for the rest of the day exhausted and losing condition. So I made some more deerskin pants, which I finished up on day 61. And then I had scurvy risk pop back up, but I had fish, thankfully. So I went out fishing on day 62 because I needed more fish before I left the region, and I stayed there fishing all the way until halfway through day 63 when I finally decided to lug all the fish home. I think afterward I went out looking for another bear and didn't find one, so I slept in a trailer, only for the next day for me to find a bear right outside the garage. Waited like an hour inside, and I found the bear bled out like right by the garage. So I quartered it up, and then just sat in my snow shelter harvesting bear quarters. Day 65 was more fuel farming and meat cooking. I had to wait for both of the hides to cure now, before I could make the bedroll. So I was cooking even more on day 66. And then on day 67, I finally made the travois. So the next day I was out killing some wolves. Gotta get more meat to get to that level 5 cooking. Then day 69, nice. And I had to cut up all the wolves, and I even got to use my travois to haul everything back. I really should have made this thing sooner. Day 70, I couldn't find any more animals to hunt, so I found a deer carcass and harvested that, killed another wolf, and another. I was literally wearing like 8 separate wolves. You would think they would get the message. Day 71, I was out hunting a deer again. I actually only managed to clip a doe, so I ended up chasing it across the frozen ocean until it bled out, putting those persistence predator genes to good use. Day 72 was more cooking and wolf hunting, until I finally got to level 5 cooking on the night of day 72, which meant I could eat damn near anything without getting food poisoning or parasites. The only thing now I was waiting on before I went to Pleasant Valley was the bearskin bedroll. So I spent day 73 sharpening my knife, eating some of the expired canned food now that I could eat it, and then even more fishing on day 74, all the way through to day 75. I made a bunch of fishing tackle on day 76, since I was out of sewing kits by now. And then on day 77, I finally committed myself to making the bearskin bedroll, now that the hides were cured. And on the dawn of day 78, the bearskin bedroll was done, and I was loading up the travois to go back to Pleasant Valley. That cougar had no idea what was gonna hit it. I loaded up the travois and started heading back to the mine that brought me to Coastal Highway all those days ago, only to realize I couldn't use the travois in the mine and I had to haul things back and forth through the mine for a day straight. So I slept in the bearskin bedroll in the mine, and then I began hauling everything down the hill from the mine in the travois, only to realize the travois couldn't go downhill. So after unloading it and then reloading it, I was on my way back to Thompson's Crossing, only to get interrupted on my way to Thompson's Crossing.
Hello, Yogi.
This is unfortunate. What am I gonna do here? This is ridiculous. I knew this would happen eventually, but... Oh god. Oh god, get back up. That's fine. Sprained wrist is fine. It's better than dealing with a bear. Oh good, that's a lost arrow. Can I get that arrow back, please? Thank you. And after that brief scare, I was finally back in the community hall of Pleasant Valley. I had to spend the night in a truck outside due to cabin fever risk, but with my wolfskin coats and my bearskin bedroll, it really wasn't that much of an issue. Until I left the truck without any weapons anyway. I don't have anything. Get off me, 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 get off me. No, 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 no. Oh my god, I'm alive. I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive. I'm alive. So after that, the next few days were essentially me just doing chores and trying to keep myself occupied until I had enough health to go hunt the cougar. And then finally on day 85, it was time. I had wolfskin coats, a bearskin bedroll, I had a bow, I had arrows, I was full health. I was hunting a goddamn cougar. I've got 8 arrows with its name on it. Only one of them is at 1 shot, so the arrow will break in 1 shot, so I have to make it count. Let's do this shit. There it is. Where are you? There you are. Come on. Oh, that does a lot of damage. Okay. That did a lot of damage for me. Keep getting closer. You're so cute. It's a good thing you're so big and dumb. That's not good. And that was a little anticlimactic, wasn't it? Not gonna lie, I was expecting the cougar AI to be a little bit smarter than that. The moment I stepped into that fishing hut, it just seemed to break. Like, it could not fathom the concept of a door or a building. I don't know why, but a wolf thought it had a chance after that. So of course I harvested the cougar and began making my way home. Admittedly, a little disappointed, but victorious nonetheless. However, there was one factor about killing the cougar that I did not know and was about to get very, very familiar with. After you killed a cougar on Interloper, for some reason, they multiply. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong about this, but I thought cougars were very territorial. That was the whole point of it, right? So the idea that after I killed the first cougar, 3 more moved into the region was a little confusing and jarring. So now I was low health, low on food, didn't have any real form of vitamin C, already on the brink of, like, having scurvy, and I did the one thing you're never supposed to do in the long dark. I panicked. I was convinced because the cougar had a territory right around the town site, and there was no way I would survive getting back to the fishing hut, you know, in order to prevent my scurvy, that I would have to kill it. Shit. Need to go get that arrow. Oh no. Exactly 2 in-game weeks away from finishing the 100 days, I died. I panicked, I didn't know what to do, and I died. Though it did seem like I partially died to a glitch where I shot the cougar, it stopped its charge, and it started another one. I'm pretty sure if you end up shooting it, it's only supposed to sideswipe you because it interrupts its charge. But nonetheless, I had died. Now, I could have cheated death in order to get my stuff back and potentially kill the cougar and survive the full 100 days. But ultimately, this was my 19th attempt over like a 2-month long period to get this video done. So admittedly, I was frustrated and just kind of done with playing the game. But I also feel it perfectly exemplifies just how unforgiving this game really is. My biggest mistake wasn't going out and trying to fight the cougar. It wasn't being underprepared with my supplies coming back to Pleasant Valley. Because when I look back on the footage now, there were so many different ways I could have survived to kill that cougar. My mistake was panicking, which led to me making a rushed, unplanned decision. The one thing about this 100 days that I tried to survive was that everything I had done was planned. From spawning in Ash Canyon to getting to Pleasant Valley, all the way to coming back to Pleasant Valley from Coastal Highway. I had more or less planned a structure of how I was going to survive this 100 days. Because in a game as unforgiving as the Long Dark, as you can see, one mistake will end your run. And that is why I love this game. There is no beating the Long Dark. There is no surviving until help comes to save you. At the end of the day, whether it's starvation, exposure to the elements, a wolf, a bear, or a cougar, you will fade into the Long Dark. It is inevitable. Thank you everybody who is here watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making it. It took a while to come out, I know, but I have been itching for quite some time to try and go again and remake my older 100 days video in the Long Dark, which is no longer listed, as you can probably tell if you try to go look for it. And I feel like I have finally given that chapter of this channel the ending it deserves. I like to believe that I've grown a lot in the last few years of content creation, and obviously I wouldn't be anywhere near the success I am with this channel if it wasn't for you, the viewers. I know it's a little cliche and overdone, but your support on this channel really does mean the world to me. I have dreamt of being a content creator ever since I was little, like little. And I really don't care about the money I make off this. Is it a nice bonus? Absolutely. Overall, I am just happy to be able to create content that some of you enjoy. Whether it's from a couple 100,000 to a handful of you that enjoy it. To me, that is a success. And I can't thank you enough for your continued support and helping in the success of this channel. And as a little treat and a little thank you to those of you that have watched this video in its entirety, I have compiled all of my previous deaths from my previous attempts into one little clip show. Again, thank you all for watching. I'm off the charts, and you'll hear from me in the next video. Enjoy watching me suffer. I'm dead. Oh, for f***'s sake. Here, you. Oh, I'm gonna. Come here. Come here. You know what? Come here. Nope, you can't attack me. You can't attack me. You can't attack me. It's against the rules. That's some bullshit. That's some bullshit right there. Okay, well now we can't die. Dying from... Wait. Oh, I am dying in here, though. Why am I dying? It's just barely warm enough to sleep in here. What? No. That... What? Oh, screw this game, bro. Oh my, that's, What? from 50%. Alright, that's dumb. Whatever. We already got food poisoning, may as well eat this whole fish. That'll last 10 hours. What? How cheesy can I be? Not cheesy enough. Whatever. Off the edge I go. Frostbite. Just kill me. Just kill me. Kill me. Ah, damn it, man. I'm gonna kill myself. Dance on the fire. Come on. There we go. What I do want is a rabbit. Oh, god damn it. Come on, dude, let's do this. I'm wearing armor. I'm gonna die. Oh my. I don't get any water now. We're dead. It's just that simple. We're dead. Yep. We're just gonna accept our fate. That blizzard came in and did the last bit of damage there. Yep. And I'm not cheating death again. You give me 2 good starts in a row. The first one I have to scrap. Yeah, frostbite, yep. Alright. No. Get off me, get off me. Oh my god, I'm going to lose my mind. We haven't seen a cougar. There's like 2 wolves left on the map. That's it. So, fortunately, this is just going to be the end of this. Oh, you. Are you kidding me? That's how I die? That's how I die. I die to a wolf being right there.